think I got any of that.
Really?
Okay. So here's my co-chef, sous chef, hubby Johnny. He does all of the cutting of the fish. I don't cut the fish. It's a very precise job that I just don't know how to do. So he'll kind of walk you through how he cuts the tuna and what part of the tuna is. We're gonna be cutting it 3 different ways. One chopped up for the spicy tuna crispy rice and for the hand rolls, doing it thinly sliced for the tuna pizzas, and then also doing sushi pieces. And if we feel up to it, then we'll do also like a tuna tataki thing, but we might have enough without it. So take it away.
So, sharp knife, number 1. It's a Japanese knife from Japanese fish market. It's got our initials on it, J, D, and B. And here we have a blackfin tuna we caught yesterday. Blackfin tuna is not something you typically eat at a restaurant because it doesn't have a lot of fat, so it doesn't store well. So it has to be eaten fresh, never frozen type idea. So here you have shoulders, a piece of its belly, then along its shoulder line back towards its tail, and the bottom part of its belly here. This is a little more tender. We try to use this for sushi pieces. This is a little tougher. So we'll definitely use this for the chopped, minced, spicy tuna little mix we make for the rice cakes and for some of the sushi rolls. This we can use for tataki and other things because it's also pretty tender, but not super tender. This also key, we keep another board with a nice, very slightly moist paper towel on it. That's so you can wrap the sushi pieces up and they stay nice and tender. Learn that from the sushi chefs we watch all the time. So I slice these pieces fairly thin. This is when I'm gonna mince it. 1 slice, so you don't have multiple slice lines on the fish. And then I go and I mince these pieces up really small.
Okay, and so while he's cutting the fish, I am gonna start prepping for everything else. So for the tuna pizzas, I've got some corn plus wheat. Well, you can just use whatever tortillas you want or crackers. And I'm gonna just put them on a skillet with a little bit of oil and just try to crisp them up to be like a cracker, basically. You could probably do this in the oven as well, but I've just found that the pan works great for me, so I'm gonna just start that because it takes a while. Just coat it in oil, put it on a pan. And then I've also got some canola oil heating up in a wrought iron skillet, which I'll use to fry the crispy rices. And then in this little bowl, I'm gonna start making the mixture for the spicy mayo, for the spicy tuna crispy rice.
This is a real labor of love.
Yeah.
And we're working through this whole dinner.
So for the spicy mayo, it's very easy. Mayo.
You could use traditional Japanese mayo, and we've made that before, but we're not gonna do that for the sake of how hard it is to get certain products and stuff. Today, we'll stick to the basic household sound items.
Lots of mayo.
And if you can't catch your own tuna, which we know is obviously a little difficult, you can order it online from multiple websites that deliver fresh. We get picky, and we have the ability to be picky because we're in, Devon keeps tooting over here.
Sorry, spicy mayo is mayo and sriracha.
That's a complicated order right there. So now I take the small pieces that I've been slicing up and I start mincing them real tiny with this sharp knife. Sometimes I bring in also a little bit of a butcher knife if you have. It's good for chopping because this knife isn't great for chopping, but it's very sharp. So it's great for the mincing side.
And then for the tuna pizza, the sauce on the pizza is my secret sauce. I'm gonna reveal to you. So
She hasn't even told me what the sauce is. And I've had multiple
quite
requests.
simple too.
She denies.
So mayo, some PONZU. This is something that I eyeball, and then as I stir, I see. Truffle oil, I'm using black truffle oil. And then kind of stop there and give it a little stir and see. You don't want it too thick, but you also don't want it like water thin. So give it a little stir. Okay, so this is still too thick. It's like mayonnaise. But I've gone the other way where I've made it too thin and then had to add like my whole jar of mayonnaise. So I go a little thin on the PONZU and truffle oil first, and then I see how it goes. I think it's like 3 tablespoons mayo, 1 tablespoon ponzu, 1 tablespoon truffle oil. So that is much more like the consistency that I want. A little taste test. I think it could be more ponzu though. And more truffle oil because sometimes the flavor of the mayo is like too mayo-y, if that makes sense. Let's go over here. Check on my pita. My oils are really too hot. See, that's normal. And you want it to get super crispy. Okay, so my rice cooker just dinged that the rice is done cooking. And while the rice was cooking, I made the little solution that makes the rice sticky and gives it that like yummy sushi rice flavor. So what this little solution is it's 1/3 cup of rice vinegar plus 3 tablespoons of sugar and like 1 or 2 teaspoons of salt. And then I did it in the microwave, but you're really supposed to do it on the stove. But you kind of just melt it until the sugar and the salt are all dissolved into the rice vinegar. Now I'm gonna add it to my rice. Drizzle like half of it over. And the way to do this, it says to cut it in half and then toss it up. Like cut it in half, toss it up. You don't wanna make it mushy. That's why you don't stir it, and that's why they say to do it like this. I don't know if that's a thing, but that's what it says online. Like I said, I'm not a Japanese sushi chef by any means. I just made this sushi that I think tastes good. So if you can get any tuna or sushi, ooh, it's a little foggy, or sushi grade fish like yellowtail or, I don't know, anything that is okay to eat raw, you should try this out. Pour the rest of the solution over it, mix it in. I just haven't done this video ever because I was thinking that everyone was just gonna hate on me for being like, that's not how you make sushi. So this is just my version of sushi, again, how I have found that I could make it, and it tasted pretty decent. Okay, so that's combined, and there's the rice. So for the tuna crispy rice,
Have
you're
to
gonna
have wet hands.
wet your hands.
Key to the wet hands.
That way the rice doesn't stick.
The other key is you don't want to get too much rice, because when you compress them, you're compressing a lot of rice and it gets kind of filling. So you want to make sure you don't put too much rice in there. And then on the plate where I have a nice forming surface, I flatten them out and make them into little rectangles so they look nice and pretty when we serve them up. Got one right there.
Perfect.
Alex is gonna finish those guys off.
There we go. For the tuna pizza, the other portion of the pizza, it's very simple. It's basically tortilla, my secret sauce, and tuna, and red onion with truffle oil on top, and that's basically it. So I'm just cutting up some red onion super, super thin, just to kind of sprinkle on top of the tuna pizza, and that's it. So I'm gonna start prepping the spicy tuna. So I've got my mayo and sriracha here, and I'm gonna just put the tuna right inside.
So I kind of like get in there and really mince it down almost where it looks flat completely. And I'll go in both directions so I don't miss any chunky pieces. There's some chunky pieces on here right now.
All right, add that pile in.
Hold
It's
on,
done.
1 second. So we used just about 2 back ends, both of the back halves of the shoulders to make 2 handfuls of spicy tuna.
Okay, so this is kind of what it's looking like. Alrighty, so it's all mixed up, and I'm gonna go grab some chives from my garden to kind of like mix in there and also top the sushi with. I've just diced up some chives here from my garden. You could use green onion too, or I feel like this is totally a step that you could skip. So I'm just gonna mix that into the spicy tuna. Yummy. So ready to top the spicy tuna and make the hand rolls. For the sushi, I've got some nori. That's what it's called, yeah, sushi nori. Got it from the grocery store. And it looks like this. And I've got my little sushi roller mat thing. And the trick that I found helpful when rolling sushi is to lay saran wrap down first and then the nori on top. And it just kind of like makes it easier to roll. Some people even cut the sushi with the saran wrap on top, but we just found it easy to cut.
If your knife is wet, your knife has to be
If
a
your
little
knife
wet
is a little wet, yeah.
and sharp.
Okay, so I've got my little sushi piece of nori and my saran wrap. I'm gonna wet my hands. Because as I mentioned before, it's very hard to touch rice when your hands are dry. And I'm gonna just spread it over the seaweed. It's a little hot. So, sometimes we make shrimp tempura rolls, which is really good. We just kind of batter them in egg wash and then dip them in panko, or you can even buy tempura kits like on Amazon. It's kind of like this powder that you add liquid to and you like dip it like actual real tempura. So I'm just getting this whole thing covered with rice. Okay, now I've got my spicy tuna and I'm gonna just lay it right in the middle. I don't like too much filling inside of mine. Unfortunately, we don't have any avocado, which is tragic because I thought we did. But I would normally put avocado and maybe asparagus, or like in my shrimp tempura roll, I love cream cheese. Okay, so what I like is a little bit of panko inside. It adds like a nice crunch. I'm gonna roll the top over so that it meets the bottom. And you're gonna take your little mat thing and you wanna like tuck without rolling in the saran wrap. That's why sometimes it's almost easier not to. You wanna tuck that in and then squeeze so it's compact. Kind of peel back your saran wrap and pull this over again. And roll it like that. Kind of squeeze it out. And then you have your sushi roll. Oh my God, this one's so pretty. Look at my perfect little roll. It's coming out the ends a little bit. It's okay. Ideally, it looks like this. And now we just gotta cut it up. So now we're getting ready to fry. Put in carefully basically we just throw it in this oil here till it's golden brown and then we take it out. Okay, so we got our rice nice and fried up. And when they cool down just a little bit, I'm gonna add in, I'm gonna top it with the tuna. Okay, so for the spicy tuna crispy rice, take your crispy rice, take a little bit of the...
That's a lot of rice, girl.
Take a little bit of the spicy tuna mixture. You can top a little bit of fresh chives on top if you like. I like to do sesame seeds. I don't have black sesame seeds, but I ran out, but I've got white, and then there you go. It's your little spicy tuna crispy rice. Then you just gotta do all the rest.
So here these are for our sushi pieces. It's important to understand the grain of the fish, right? I like to cut along this side here so you don't tear them up, because if you cut along this side, you can rip open here a little bit along, I guess, the tendony part, right? You see how it's kind of already opening up there? So I cut along this side, which gives you nice shaves. This will be for the sushi pieces, this nice little chunk here. Dev likes her pieces thin. That's just to get the party started. Here we go. First piece, everyone knows the rules. Nice pretty little piece. You can see it there. It's a little thick for her liking. We place it on the wet paper towel to start a nice little piece there. Now you can see as I slice in there that we're not going against the grain there. Nice little. And here are the pieces they're gonna be for the sushi. What I'll do now is I take one tear off and I put it over the top just to keep them moist. So they'll hang out under there, under the moist paper towel. I'll do some more pieces here. Won't be as pretty, but they'll be for the tuna pizzas. So now I'm making my rice pieces here. Again, compact rice, because when they pick them up, you don't want them to fall apart. We get all sassy. You gotta make sure it's got nice pinch-worthy integrity. It stays tight.
So good. Okay, I'm gonna show you how to make my tuna pizza. And I've got my special sauce, which I'll kind of dribble on. And then you place the tuna on the pizza. It's really like a tart. Okay, so I've got my tart, and I perfectly place my little red onion slices all over the tart. And then I take a little bit more of the truffle oil.
You can't cut it on top.
Drizzle a little bit more truffle oil on the tart. And it looks like this. So this is what the finished tart will look like, and I'm gonna just cut it into fours, and that's it.
I zested some lemons for my sushi pieces here. I'm gonna do a little sprank right on top. Got some nice little sushi pieces. It works.
Okay guys, this is our finished product. Got our sushi pieces. We got our sushi pieces and our spicy tuna crispy rice. Our little spicy tuna or just rolls. And our tuna pizzas. Ready for a feast. So excited to try it. I already snuck this spicy tuna crispy rice, but let's try one of these rolls. I love to dip mine in ponzu. I never loved soy. Always been a ponzu girl. So good. Try a sushi piece. I hope you enjoyed this very, very amateur sushi vlog. We are not sushi chefs, but have just discovered this little way that we like to kind of cook and eat our fish. And yeah, if you got any chance to get your hands on some fresh fish that you can make sushi with, highly suggest making one of these because they're all really delicious. Kind of a labor of love, takes a minute, but they're not super complex. There's just a lot of steps. So try it out and upload a photo of your sushi, tag me, I'd love to see. And let me know, crunch. Let me know if you have any questions or comments below. I'll see you guys next time.